Hey guys, it's me, Danny. Now, in my 20s, I thought I knew everything. Couldn't tell me nothing. Then I hit my 30s and I didn't think I knew anything. I wished somebody would have told me something. But now that I'm living in my 40s, I'm real comfortable living this life in the Middle Ages. So I thought I'd get together with a couple of my friends who also are in that same age bracket so that we can have some talks about what I believe are some shared experiences. Now, either you've gone through them, you will go through them, or you know somebody who went through them. It's all about conversation. It's all about community here. So listen, comment down below if you have anything to say. If you don't, just make sure you subscribe so you know we here every week. Like it if you really just like what's going on, and share it with a friend if you know somebody who could benefit from what's going on. So let's sit back and see what the people have to say.
My name is Jen, and I am 51 years old.
51 give you 10 good already in.
10 good already.
I feel like in the middle. Like you're the middle. You're the middle of the Middle Ages.
I am. But you know what? Yeah, I guess so. You're right. It's a good age to be, though. It feels good.
Good. Why?
It feels good because I've learned a lot. I've experienced a lot. And now it's actually the time for me to try different things. It's almost like it's giving you permission to try something new. Yeah, it's a good feeling.
Do you feel like you ran into your 40s, or you feel like you tiptoed in? Like, were you like, I'm in my 40s now, and like confidently in your 40s, or do you feel like you tiptoed in? And that is, even if you consider like did you take a moment to realize like I'm in my 40s, this is like technically the Middle Ages?
You know what? I didn't really feel as though I was in my 40s until I turned 44. For whatever reason, that number kind of threw me a little bit, threw me into reality, right?
Looking over that hill on 49, like,
48, I was like, wait a minute.
Oh, okay. So
I could see 50.
do you feel like you were more nervous about turning 40 or more nervous about turning 50?
I was much more nervous about turning 40 than I was turning 50.
Okay.
I wanted to run into 50, to be honest with you. I like being this age. I had a feeling that it would be a little more, I don't know, how do you say it? Not necessarily fun, but just this is when you have already been formed, you have made your mistakes, you've done great things, you've just been open to some things, experienced things, and I just felt like 50. First of all, that's half of 100. Okay. Oh my goodness. So you're just going towards the getting older. So this is a good time to do some things. As a parent of an adult child, I don't have the responsibility anymore.
Life is different. For real. It really is. Grown. You got how many children?
I have one daughter and one granddaughter.
Oh, all right now.
I know.
Before we get there, I want to ask you one more. I want to ask you a thing. Now, I don't even know if this is something you pay attention to, but you turned 50 right as the pandemic was hitting.
I did.
Right. So do you feel like Do you feel like you're grateful for a year where, since we were in the house, it gave you more time to reflect on yourself and like the transition into 50? Or do you feel like you wish you would have been able to like hit the street more because you had just turned 50?
Oh, oh, wow, that's a good question. I actually, I actually enjoyed being at home that year, right? Because I think it allowed me to have a little bit more self-reflection. Um, and there wasn't the hustle and bustle about that. At first, I was a little like, I was a little sad, if you will, because, you know, of the whole celebration of the birthdays and thinking that it would be 50. I keep seeing a lot of people with the 50 and fabulous. I expected the the fanfare, right? Only because I've seen it. But then when I didn't get that, it just in that moment, I kind of felt a little bit sad. But then I realized a, a few days later, this is actually feeling good. I celebrate myself. And so it allowed me to come up with some bucket lists, checklists,
I
you
do
know,
remember you
that I
speaking
may
about
want to
bucket
do. So, and
list.
my birthday is at the top of the year.
Yeah.
So I have literally lived through every month and be able to experience the year with it, like the number, you
Right.
know.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
so that
That-
was a good feeling, actually. That was a really good feeling.
So that means 55. It's gotta be done big.
55. And even if it isn't, to be able to reach that, I think there's something significant about that. Right now, it's year to year. It's month to month, to be honest with you.
But you know what? You did, if I can remember back, you did have a pretty significant birthday trip though, because
I
because
did.
you went where you started,
I did. I
which
certainly did. I
which was
went I
cool.
went back to the place where I was born,
Hmm.
and that was pretty awesome. It was really, really awesome.
And got it in before the borders got shut down, which
Oh my goodness.
a
I came back
magnificent gift.
maybe 2 week and a half before the borders got shut down.
Yeah,
Just about a week and a half.
yeah. And that's
Amazing.
amazing, amazing, right?
Well, you see, and that was the start of a great year.
Yeah.
That was the start of a year of reflection. And I feel like there was a lot of grace that was given to me in order to experience what I experienced.
Hmm. That really was dope though. That really was dope. That happened right beforehand. Okay, so let's not touch on, let's get in as deep as you ready to go about about the topic for today, which is what the feelings are when your adult child comes home. Now, if you don't mind me already saying, you had your adult child come home. Now you are in another phase where your adult child will be coming home with a grand
With a child. With a child.
with
Oh
a child.
my
Yeah.
goodness.
So
Okay,
let's
so let me tell you.
talk
Let me
about
tell you.
get into both. Like go wherever we need to go.
Okay, well, there are a lot of places that we need to go. This boat may go to the left, to the right.
That's all right.
it, it may it may go to the equator. Girl, let me tell you.
I rode roller coasters before. I know how you got to do like this, and I see the Jamaican bobsled team.
Right, right.
Hitting the little go to the side.
Oh my
You
goodness. You
ride a
just have
bike.
to hold on. Right. You
Let's
just have
get
to hold on to
it. Let's
that
get
ride.
it.
So okay, so let me say this. So my daughter went away to college. I boo-hooed. That was a tough time for me, because that was yet another transition in life, right? Uh, I raised her as a single parent. We were pretty much attached. She's my only child, and I wanted her to go away. I wanted her to have that experience. So she did. First few months, I was a little bit saddened about it. But can I tell you a secret?
I won't tell nobody.
Okay, don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody.
I won't tell nobody.
Those 3 years, oh my gosh, I was loving it. I never had not realized that it would have felt so great. That was the first time in my entire life that I was by myself, ever, like living for years alone.
In your 40s.
In my 40s.
Right.
It was magical.
Right.
It was absolutely magical. And so you begin to have this routine and I don't know, you're cooking just for yourself. That takes a little
how do you
getting
do
used
that?
to.
You stand around there like, how do I do this?
Girl, let me tell you, I had to buy smaller pots.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
had to,
that would make
yes,
sense.
I purposely bought smaller pots. And I only bought 2 of them because it's just me,
Why
right?
all the dishes?
Why do all the dishes?
Why
Paper
do I
plate,
need
let me
all
tell
the
you.
dishes? Listen.
You don't have to cook if you don't feel like it,
Right.
right? So
Or
smaller
or
pots
when you
help.
want to.
I'm
Instead,
sorry?
you could cook when you want to instead of I gotta make sure they got dinner so I can make sure they go to bed at a certain time. Like, yeah, it's a different thing.
It is a different,
It's a different
it's such
thing.
a different thing. It's such a different thing.
Now,
So I got used to that. Oh,
let me just ask, since you're saying that it had been the first time you lived on your own, have you actually ever lived on your own before then?
no.
Okay. So since that was happening, is that something you realized was going to happen and you were fearful of it, or did that just hit you while you were mourning the way your relationship with your daughter worked before she went to school?
You mean if I was,
Like, did it were you when you were preparing for her to go away to school, had
okay.
you actually come to terms with the fact that this would be the first time ever in my life that I will be living alone? Or was that part of your story hit you after you were in it?
It hit me after. It actually, it hit me on the way back. It hit me on the way back after I dropped her off. I was on my way home. So we were in Washington, D.C., driving back to Pittsburgh, and I realized, oh my goodness, when I put that key in the door, it's really just going to be me for a long period of time. Of course, I've been by myself for days because
Right.
she would go on vacation or with her friends or whatever. But the thought of not having anyone there, it really hit me on the way home. Had not thought about it before.
Mm-hmm.
And that brought some sadness to me as well. Because I'm like, wait a minute.
I
How
don't
is this going
know
to
it,
work?
but I've been thinking
Yes.
about it. I don't know
Right.
that living, but I have been thinking about it.
Mhm.
Because I know, people like you and I, watch and see what's going on. So you get that kind of, you know, forewarning. So
Mhm.
there was 3 years of that.
There was 3 years of coming home just for a few days and going back. Matter
Right.
of fact, I would buy her ticket to go back as quickly as
Before you get
possible.
there,
I'm like,
we need to
girl,
know
I
when you
love
going
you,
home.
but it's time to go. What, you need a bus ticket? I got that. No problem. I will take care of you. But then the 4th year was the year that we were in the pandemic.
Then make it
Everything
right when
shut
you were
down.
transitioning
Right when I got
into
accustomed, that,
50.
that comfortable turn 50,
Yeah,
a few weeks after turning 50,
they said she got to come
they
home.
said she
Shut
has
the
come home.
school
I was
down.
like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Matter of fact, she had an apartment off campus.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, how can I continue to pay so that she can stay there? You know,
I know that's right. Say I'll just pay for the appointment. Call me when you're ready.
It may sound like I don't love my child, but there
No,
is something about
yeah,
having an adult child. Even when she came home while she was in college, the person I sent to school, that was a teenager, young adult, if you are just on the verge of being a young adult, right? Not yet independent.
right.
But then the person coming home to visit, that's a person who's been independent of me.
Right.
Did not have to ask me to go places. She spent all these months at school doing her own laundry, eating when she wants to eat, shower when you want to shower, all of the things. And
And
I
she
had to
lived in her own
unlearn
apartment for a
for years.
considerable amount of months. So because she lived in her own apartment, she literally functioned without concern of another person.
Exactly. She was living there 2 years. Her sophomore and junior year. That's where she was. So her coming home was really different because she did not have to ask my permission. The first time she came home and she just like got a shower and left the house. I'm sitting here like, wait a minute. What's happening? What's happening in here? You know, I didn't know. I didn't know if I should say something. I didn't know if it was okay for me to feel what I was feeling. Um, I, I just didn't know, and I didn't know who to speak to about that
Yeah.
because I don't have any friends who was going through it. This at the same time as I was, or even going through it at all. So I I actually asked my mom, because she went through that with us. So I
Right.
said, what do I do? What do I do? And she gave me really, really great advice, and I appreciated that. And so, and she says, your child went away as a child, and she came back as an adult.
Mm-hmm.
She's been able to make her own choices and decisions without you. She may have called, yeah, she called every day, and we talked, and she'll, run things past me and everything. However, at the end of the day, she stood alone, physically stood alone to make those choices and decisions. So I have to tell you though, I did put some stipulations on her being in this house.
Oh yeah. I mean, well, because it's your house.
It's my house. It's
When you
my house.
go home to your mom's house, you have to
Mm-hmm.
act accordingly when you get there. And our kids know when they go to their grandparents' house or they're in their
Right.
grandparents' space, it
There's
doesn't
a
matter
way.
what you were doing at your house. There's
Right.
still
Right.
some parameters here in these spaces. I mean, but they get that. They go to work, they go to school.
Right. There are parameters everywhere. But
Correct.
what was interesting though? When I set those parameters, she was looking at me like, wait, what are you serious? I said, yes, I am. I am. So one of the parameters that I did put in place was that she wasn't allowed to walk into my house at 3 a.m. I mean, at any time after 3, she couldn't walk in.
So
And
between 3 and 6, 3 and 5, 3 and 7.
I'm sorry.
Is that was the time? Like, was it like not after 3, not before 6, not after
Girl, I didn't even ever think
that?
about the before. I
Because
never, I never
I
even
gave
thought
I
about
gave
the before.
both
Oh no,
after and not before.
it never even dawned on me to say between 3 and what. I just said after, if you come in after 3 or think you're coming in after 3, you have to go back wherever you came from. And it wasn't because I wasn't loving her. It was because I felt like I needed to have certain jurisdictions and in my home, right?
Mhm.
I'm already now staying up late because she's home and I'm worried, right? Because she's actually in the city, same city with me, and she's out and about and everything. But I wasn't feeling that way when she was at school. what a transition, right? Because I certainly wasn't thinking, I mean, I thought about her,
I
but
think, go ahead.
no, I thought about her, but at the same time, it was a different mindset. When she was physically here, I then turned back into the caregiver.
You did. That's
Right?
what I was going to say. I think that you start to believe that you're now back to responsible for
Right.
their safety when they're not. We're not.
We're not. We're not. But wouldn't you say, like, as a parent, it kind of just comes when your kids come over to you. For it's kind of like when an infant is there, and the mom is weaning that child, or they'll, if they're breastfeeding and, well, used to breastfeed, sometimes they're they leak, or there's a reaction when the child is crying, or when the child is near. And I kind of feel like it's an innate feeling when they come close. Now we are mom again.
Yeah, I don't disagree that that's not the thing. That I'm just saying I think that it is a mental exercise that we have to, because if your child becomes 30 and you know what I'm saying, you're not going to still stay up when they're out.
Right, for sure. For
So
sure.
it's a mental exercise of relinquishing the responsibility for.
Exactly.
All
Exactly.
that's all I'm
Yes,
saying.
you're right. You're right. Because the fact that she came home for that year, she not only came home by herself, she was also expecting. She was pregnant.
Mhm.
So there was another layer of the sense of parenting her as a young adult, but also being mindful that she too was getting ready to be a mom. And so there's some responsibilities uh, that she will have to take on herself,
Mhm.
right? But even in the midst of that, I also even thought about, or felt that I have two bodies that I have to now be responsible for. No one put that on me. I
No.
put that on myself,
Mhm.
right? I put that on myself.
Mhm.
And
So with her coming home and also expecting, do you feel like there was a moment or a couple of moments where the standoff of two mama bears in the
yes,
house?
yes,
And so
yes.
when that happened,
Mm.
how do you feel like you handled it?
Okay, so I know I did not handle that well. Let me tell you, I know in hindsight, forget about hindsight, in the midst of, I know I didn't handle it well, because we were both, I really like the way that you said that. Um, we were both bullheaded, really. We were both standing our ground as a parent, as a mom, as moms, right? And adult moms at that. So yeah, that was challenging. That
Mm,
was very, very challenging. But what I found was I had to really sit back and think about all of the things that I have given her, right? The advice that I've given her, all the talks that we've had, and all of the things that I taught her or didn't teach her. All of those things kind of came back to me, and I said, I do have to allow her an opportunity to do what she feels that she needs to do, because I have already given her those things. So, and I say, I don't know, I'm not always in the right. So
mhm,
you take the good, you leave the bad. If you want to hold on to the bad, you hold on to the. Now it's her responsibility to figure out
mhm.
how she is going to be, you
Yes.
know, and yeah. So it was one of those times where we kind of clashed, because I'm here to giving her advice, which I thought was advice. Oh, this is what you should do, you're pregnant, or this is what you shouldn't do, and all things like that. Or she wanted to do a water birth, and I said, oh, I'm not sure if that, it's not me. I'm not the one that's expecting, right? She is a full grown adult. And again, how do you pull back, right? Um, how do you pull back and not feel as though you're not contributing to helping her to be the best? I don't know. It was a difficult time for me. There wasn't arguments or anything. It was just a difficult time, because I had to do a lot of reflection.
I would say for me, it was when I noticed that I was agitating more than I was helping, and then I felt like now I'm on the wrong side of the fence because this ain't my. I as a parent didn't want to have to fight for my right to be a parent.
Okay.
My family, and when I felt like I was making my daughter fight for her right to be a parent and parent her own way, is when I would just be like, all right. It wasn't like I was walking around there like everything is love, whatever. It was I am giving it in my way. I was like, I mean, do what you're gonna do with it. And this is what I would do. If you're not gonna do that, that's your baby, but
So,
it was that
oh
feeling
my
of
goodness.
like, yeah, you're right. I shouldn't make you fight for how you gonna do it. If the baby ain't safe, I'll see it. So
Right, right.
then, um, here's a question. So
Sure.
you've had romantic live-in at one point in life, right?
Yes.
And then you had your child come back in your home.
Yes.
Do you feel like the things that you would have asked beforehand or set forth beforehand are similar that you didn't do? Like thinking back on after because you and that person don't still live together, so there was some reason why that didn't happen. It doesn't happen anymore, correct? And
Correct.
there comes a time when you and your daughter aren't living together either. So there was a time when that changed.
Yes.
Looking back over the time before they got there, do you wish that there were some things you had set forth beforehand? And do you think that they're similar in what you would set forth?
Yes. Yes.
I know that was a lot of question, but
Yes. I'm digesting it. That was a really good question, though. It not was. It is. It is a very, very good question, because there were things that I realized that I should have put in place that I did not put in place. And this was in hindsight, um, for both situations, for both my my partner at the time, and and my daughter. So do you want to know what those things are?
I mean, that's
Or
up to you because, like I said, like you said, she's coming back.
she is oh my gosh, she's coming back
For
with
a
the
different
toddler.
reason. It's not a pandemic anymore, but she is coming back. And I asked that to ask, do you feel like those things have already been covered? Are you preparing to have that conversation about what it is, those things that you learned? Or,
Yes. Yes. Well,
because
I learned because I learned some things years ago with the situations that I was in, with her leaving and coming back, with my partner leaving, or living with my partner, and then living with my daughter. The biggest takeaway for me, in which I will be imparting onto her when she gets in and we have this conversation, it's boundaries.
mm-hmm.
Boundaries in a sense of respecting each other's space, in the sense of their mental space, and allowing room. I need her to allow me room to be who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to allow room and space for her to be who she is becoming.
Right.
As she, you know, as my adult child and as a mother to my granddaughter, and just as a person in general. Now she has to conform as well. There's a lot that she has to transition over. She's coming back home. You know, she's had an opportunity to live alone. She lives out of state now and doesn't even come back to this house as that often. But I can imagine that it's not an easy thing for her to have to come back into a space that was originally ones that gave her boundaries and rules and parameters, if you will. So there's that transition that needs to happen. There's that conversation that definitely needs to happen.
And do you feel like it would be beneficial to have another conversation with your mother, because now you guys are all, well, you all are parents to young adults pretty much, except for one, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So with that being the case, would you feel like now you need to
Like, to my
hear
mom.
her, yeah, about how she would feel, how she felt once you all became
Adults, and even coming back, being an adult and coming back home. My mom had the same situation pretty much that I'm having, because my siblings did go back as adults. They stayed away for a number of years when they were in college, and then once they graduated from college, they were still living on their own. And then for whatever circumstances, whatever happened, they transitioned back to my parents' house, and they're still there today. And they're in their 40s, right? And so, yes, I would like to have that conversation with my mom. Absolutely would, because I would like to get her perspective on how she felt and what did she do, and just how to maneuver. Although we are different people, her advice is super important to me.
right. Oh,
Because I'm just curious.
well, here's my next question. Do the rules change?
The rules is what do you mean?
Well, you said that before, there were some rules
3 a.m.
when she came in. It is the mother being a mother now, does that change some of, what is required? Or
It does. It does. It does. Um, because she's bringing her family here. This is not a space of, as much as I love being a grandmother, it is not my granddaughter is not my child. So I know that I have to figure out words, sentences, phrases, conversations as to how to, what are some things that we can put in place. I don't necessarily want her to drop the child off, or just leave the baby with me, and then she's out and about 3-4 times a week because she's going with her friends, or she's going to the gym, or she's you don't I don't know. I just feel like I am not I'm
right,
grandma. I'm
right,
grandma.
right. And I definitely agree.
I'm grandma. If I want to, let you know that I would like to, but there should not be an obligation just because we're under the same roof that I will be available to to
Mm.
take care of her, to, keep her while you decide to go out to socialize. Because again, I have grown tremendously since she has been gone, right? I've got to know myself. I've got to know things that I like, foods that I like, places that I like to go, music that I like to listen to. And I don't feel like that should stop because she comes home. So in order to help that and remedy that, a conversation would have to be had. Now, do I know how am I going to start this conversation? I don't know. I'm not sure yet, but I will definitely be having it.
So
before she comes home.
Is there something that you will be mourning not being able to do when she comes home?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think I feel pretty established right now in knowing that she's rather independent of me. I don't think that I'm going to be mourning my space. Well, let me just backtrack a little. She's coming home for the second time. The first time she came home, it was because of the pandemic, and had to spend that year, almost, yeah, that year with me. Well, we spent it together. But then she's coming home this time because her boyfriend is going to be deployed. And so um and so because of that, there was this question of, Mom, can we come home for 6 to 9 months? Sure, absolutely. So this coming home is, how should I say, it's more of her choice.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of her choice. And I think when you're able to make your own choice, your own decisions in that way, you don't feel as tied down, right? And so I don't feel any obligation to change anything that I'm doing. I don't believe that that's the case, but I guess I would have to wait to see how it all works out.
So, and what's the most exciting part about her coming home?
The most exciting part, I want to say that the most exciting part for me is seeing her as a parent and how she navigates that, and how seeing her just as a woman.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
As a woman, I'm going to have the privilege of being within the same space with her, breathing the same air with her, as she goes through and navigates her life as a 23-year-old. I'm fascinated by that.
Because
I
your
really am.
23 look completely different than hers, right?
Completely different.
Completely different.
Completely different.
Right. Right.
Completely different. I was free, floating around, doing my thing,
Yeah. Yeah.
living with friends, doing all the things, and then doing nothing if I chose. She, as a 23-year-old, is a mom. With
Mm-hmm.
that, we have had different responsibilities at different times in our lives. So,
Yeah.
she worked for corporate. When I was 23, I was working at a volunteering somewhere, had just graduated from college, and I
Right.
don't know, had to beg for food.
You can live differently when there's no baby that you have to wake up to in the morning. I
Certainly.
imagine, because I don't
You
know. I don't know that life. We won't get into it today, but I don't
Well,
know.
you too. You have gone through transitions yourself. So, I feel like I'm in good company, because, we all have our story, if you
Right.
will.
Right.
And to be where we are now, within our age, within our life, within our just the moments that we have, we can actually have conversations about it, because one, we have grown children, I mean adult children,
Right.
right? And different circumstances, different personalities, but yet and still they're still adults.
Yes, they are.
But that's the similarity that we have, I believe, because the way that you navigate through some things, you have, and your children are older. You have children that are older than mine, so you've kind of lived through some of the steps that I'm getting ready to live through. So be on the lookout, because I'm going to be calling you for some friendly
Yes,
advice.
I have
Okay.
I've had some experiences. It's been a life. Um, I had one more question. Okay, so my last question is, because you had the time to reflect on yourself as in your 50s during the pandemic,
Mhm.
do you feel like you are a more freer parent now? Do you feel like you have released some of your, I think it's not a personal thing. I think all of us as parents at some point start to feel a little bit of guilt about things that we don't feel like we touched on, that we wish we would have touched on, or things we did that we wish we had not have did. And have you felt, do you feel like you release some of that guilt now to be able to be a ally to their new growth, or do you feel like you're still more timid and want to be apologetic for what you weren't, what you didn't give? Because
You
most of
know
what
what?
you didn't give, you didn't have or know that you had to give. So are you still are now? I'm saying still, like I've heard you tell me that you were, but I know that I was in a place. So let me just say I was in a place. So have you ever been in a place where the guilt led
Over.
parenting, so it was like an
Yes.
apologetic parenting at a point?
Yes.
That's what I,
Yes.
or and if so, do you feel like you have reached a point in your own internal self that now you're not leading with apology, but you want to lead with maybe more of like a friendship type of way?
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. The apologetic part of me, that was a few years ago. And I think that, we both, she and I both went through that storm together, if you will. And so I am no longer, I've already done the apologizing. She'll say things like, you didn't show me how to do, you know, write a check, or I don't know. I don't
Learn
know.
more.
Something, I don't even know. It would be, Mom, how come you didn't teach me how to? And I would say, I didn't realize that there's no checklist to these
Right,
things.
right.
There's no checklist. So, um, yes, I apologize for not even realizing that these are the things that I may have had to introduce you to, and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one really big thing that I know that I did not do, that I wish that I did.
Mm-hmm.
And I apologized to her about that several times, but it's over with now. Um, and that was just like on dating, and how to get over the heartache, and all of that, because she never saw me get over a heartache, because I did that in private. I did that in the shower. I didn't want her to see me hurt
Mm-hmm.
and sad. For some reason, I always felt like I had to show her this strong person who who doesn't hurt, right? Who doesn't who doesn't cry. Just I don't know. I felt like I needed her to.
That's from the toxic society that we grew up in the decades in which we grew up.
I agree with that. I do agree with that. But I also believe, for me, it was definitely a more of a shaming situation, that no one necessarily put that on me. It's just that I felt it, and I wanted her to be quote unquote proud of me, or see me as her protector and her leader and her teacher and her all of that. But if I had to do it all over again, she would see me cry. She would see that my heart is broken. She would see how I recovered from it. She would see how I grew from it. And these are all lessons, right? If I
Right.
had a second child, I would probably have, not probably, I know I would.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So
yeah.
important that it's so important that I think that that is one of the things that's so important that we don't realize is important until we see our child heartbroken, and then they don't believe that we understand what they're going through because they've never seen us
Never,
go through it.
exactly. And that's exactly, that was the exact situation.
Mhm.
Because she never saw it, she didn't think that I knew it. So she confided in other people
Yeah.
because she didn't think that she could, and my heart was broken, but that was my doing.
Yeah, it's how we set it up.
I set that up,
Yeah.
right? Unconsciously, I set that up, not realizing the consequences of doing that. So yeah. So no apologies now. We're
Yeah.
gonna
Come
I'm
on,
gonna
leadership
welcome her
summit.
in.
It's gonna be a leadership summit when we get together.
I'm gonna have the PowerPoint. Here we
I'm
go. This
gonna
is what
let
we're
you
gonna
know. I'm gonna tell you what classes are available. You sign
do.
up for
Right,
what you want.
right. And that's funny. And I am hoping that she comes in with um with her adulthood as well. I want her to be able to come in to say what she needs to say and what she, whatever, however she needs to set up her life. Because I think it's important for us to help. I mean, for us to encourage that.
And also we learn too, because there's a youthfulness that you gain when your young adult is in your house and you relate to what they're into and you learn things that they like but you're not, even just the way that they communicate, the way that they listen to music, the way
Yes,
that they work,
yes,
the confidence in how they leave out of the house and their, attire and things like that. Like you start
yes.
to gain a new confidence when you're like
Mhm.
looking at them like, wait a minute, that's how you go into the store, and they're like, yeah, ain't nobody worried about that, ain't nobody worried about
Right,
you. And then you're like,
right.
wait, the first time you tiptoe out, and then that next time you're like, nobody was worried about me when I was at the store.
Nobody.
I didn't even see anybody I know. I ran up to the Walmart, and you're right, I didn't see
That's
anybody.
right.
I did not need to get in full Sunday clothing in
That's
case I
right.
see somebody, because the last time, if I think back, when I did see somebody, they was in their regular runarounds.
Exactly.
And
Exactly. You're
like
so
you get
right.
that youthfulness, but then, and let me just tell you,
Mhm.
there's two things. There comes a different youthfulness when you're with your grandbaby. Okay.
Okay.
There's a different youthfulness because you go back even further down,
Further.
right?
Mhm.
But there also is a different kind of tired when they're around. Because the energy you had for an infant 20 years ago is
Yes.
energy that your spirit got to. You want to,
You
but
listen.
it's like I just want to watch my show. I don't want
Right, right.
like I don't want to talk to you, man, but I love you. But what else
I'm
can
like,
it be? And so
you
like
want
that thing
Cheerios? You want Cheerios down right in the middle of Abbott Elementary? Come
is,
on.
and you're like, I was just here. And it's not even, it's when they start to talk because they don't understand boundaries. So
Boundaries.
you just looking at them like, this is on though. Like you see it on, right? And because they don't parent the way that we parented back then,
Mhm, mhm.
the communication, you learn a whole new form of communication without even trying. Without
I believe it. I believe it. I absolutely believe it. I had an opportunity to spend some time with my granddaughter because my daughter had a conference to attend. Can I tell you, I was exhausted, and she wasn't even a year old at the time. I think I went to bed when she went to bed. It
even
was 8:15.
it's a
It was
different kind of
8:15.
tired. I was
I
like, I'd
was
be laying there
so
with my
tired.
he up. Now,
I was counting down the days. I said, when's your mother coming back? Because I
oh
am
my
not made for
God.
this. I am not made for this. So it'll be nice to have her
Yeah.
here, and to grow with her and to grow with them both and them growing with me as well and seeing where I am,
Yeah.
and the things that I'm doing that she has never seen me do.
Yes.
Right? Speaking to the people that I've never spoken to, going to the places that I've never gone to, things like that. So she'll see that part of me, and I'll see that the part of her, and then we both get to experience the parenting together. She gets to see me as a grandmother for the first time, like really to see me in that role. And I'm looking forward to that. I'm excited about that.
Mm-hmm. It is.
And I'm excited to be able to hand that child back and say, okay, I'll see you later. I'm away for the weekend. Have a great one. Be safe.
You already know I would be looking forward to Big Boy Chill. It's time for a big boy. Is it
Right?
time for Big Boy Chill? That's not
I
that.
love that.
But like,
I
yeah.
love that. I love that you all coined that, the big boy chill. That is
Big Boy Chill.
such a phenomenal way to say it.
But yeah, I believe that you all will have a great time. Because there's not the stresses of the pandemic and everything is new. It's so much more exploration, and you are definitely freer than you were 2 years ago in your own self. So, being able to express it and understanding that we're both adults here,
Right.
you treat me as such. I'm not even talking about you for her, but her for you, to be able to see like, you would like for me to treat you as a grown woman. You have to also treat me as a grown woman, not just your mother. Because I have been like, I ain't been charging up till you get here. I've been living. I've been living.
Right.
Anybody who knows me know I can't start the car and pull off till the music is right.
The
Okay.
music gets right.
So I feel like everybody got some, some songs in their spirit that speak to them. So what would be a song that you can think of that represents you today?
So I don't know the name of this song.
Oh, I love it. We're probably gonna be able to find it.
Right. I just have some of the lyrics. It's
Okay.
it's a soca song.
Okay.
Um and the words to this song brings me back to a very celebratory time for my family,
Okay.
right? And it's the song goes, drink a rum and a punch a cream, a drink a rum on a Christmas morning, right?
Okay.
And what that is it always brings me joy, no matter when I think of it, in my deepest of sadness, when I think of it, it brings me joy. Because one, I love punch a cream. Punch a cream is similar to eggnog.
Okay. Okay.
In the United States. It's
With
very similar to eggnog.
alcohol in it.
Yes, it
Okay.
has alcohol in it. It has vodka in it. It has um, uh, grenadine. It has Jamaican rum in it. It has white rum. It has a lot of that in
A
it.
place. It's gonna take you to a place when you drink some.
Whole place. A whole place. A whole place of wonderful serenity,
Yes.
relaxation. You put a little ice in it. Oh my gosh. And it's one of my favorite alcoholic drinks. And I'm connected to it because my aunt made it every year. I do not like the ones that are, sold in the store. It's just a tradition that she makes it. And if you want a bottle, she'll give you a bottle of it. And so it's drink a rum, right? So I think of the family, especially the men in the family. Whenever somebody comes over to the home, into your home, they offer you a drink.
Okay.
Not a drink of water, but a drink of rum. It's a ritual. Many people go into somebody's home and they shake hands, right? And yes, we shake hands, but then we also offer, would you like to have a drink?
Okay.
And so when we say, would you like to have a drink? It's automatically that it's an alcoholic beverage
Okay.
that they're offering you. So that just brings back those kinds of memories, positive stuff, great feeling, people coming over, they're drinking, not drinking to get drunk, but just drinking. And then, so it's drink a rum and a punch a crema, drink a rum on a Christmas morning. Christmas morning, there is a whole thing we call a parang. We go from home to home to home to home, like a caravan. And
Oh,
then you're singing, there's a chant that happens, you sing all kind of Christmas songs, and you're there for maybe a half an hour, then you move on to another person's house. It's caroling in
okay.
the United States. It's caroling. Um, and that particular song brings me back to not just Grenada, not just Carriacou, but it brings me back to even New York,
Now,
where we kept a lot of those traditions.
did y'all? I know that when you were younger, lots of family lived close around each other,
Yes.
and you lived in a Caribbean neighborhood.
Yes.
Was that a tradition that was carried over here?
No,
N- n-
not at all.
you remember any families that did it?
Wait, I'm sorry.
The tradition
The
of car- caravan
oh yes.
to the
Oh
house.
yes. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. And so when I am in in Pennsylvania during that holiday season, it saddens me a little bit because I know that those in New York, the family members and everybody, that's what they do. They still go from home to home. And so let's say it starts at my house, right? Oh no, I go to your house, and then there's certain things that we eat, and you would offer us ham and homemade bread and drinks, right? And so we spend about a half an hour in your house, and then you and you get into your vehicle, I get into mine, and then both of our families then go over to another person's house. So
Mhm.
now, and it's like we pick up people as we go. We make the rounds, uh, and it's such. And usually, you end whoever's home that you end in. You're exhausted, right? But it's a fun time. So now you have like 30, 40 people, and
One house.
one house, just celebrating life and celebrating each other, and celebrating God, and celebrating the year, or the end of the year and the beginning of the year, um, and that just bringing that chair into CHEER into the air. I know I have a hard time sometimes with certain words: chair, fair, bear. And so that particular song brings me much comfort, much comfort. So that would be it. I'll have to find the name of it and
Yeah,
let you
yeah,
know
yeah.
that
We're
what
gonna
it
find
is.
it because I'm gonna play it in the episode. A little
Oh
small
yes, you
tidbit.
should.
You
You
can't play
should.
too much because of copyright, but you
Yes.
can get a little bit in there. And I have
Put a
one
little bit of
more
island of spice in there. Yes. One more.
is and this doesn't have to be long, but I I want to get your gray hair conversation.
Oh.
This is my other segment. So one of the segments is just a little funny story. And if people can't tell already, we're friends, we're pretty close. And we've known each other for a number of years. When you met me, I already had the grades coming in the
Yes,
front of
you
my head,
did, girl.
right?
You sure
So
did.
my grades started hitting me when I was like 20, 21. So by the time we met, there was already grade there. You are you are
I am
you are
51.
you are I can't even get it out. You are 51 years old and you have how many grades?
Okay, I just found another one.
This makes how many though? How many?
So I have the grand total of two.
Oh,
Two.
Girl,
Yes, I have
slow
one
down.
right in the middle of my head. And I
Slow
have one
down. Salt and pepper.
right. I wanted to grow. I was so excited. I was so excited. I'm not even sure. Did I call you to say, can you see
Yes,
my grade?
yes, you did. And I
I
was
was
like,
so
I
excited.
don't want to look at it. It's two raggedy grades. They're not even right beside each other.
They're not. They're not. And I'm so excited. But I get my hair cut like almost every week.
That ain't got nothing to do with
So
it. They ain't
so I'm
cutting it out.
well, that's the sad part. That means they cut it off.
They're not
Oh
cut.
my God.
It's still there if it was there.
But it's low, but it's really low. So nobody can see
Yeah,
it.
you can see this. No, nobody's gonna see it because it's two. And you gotta bend down and point to it, and
I
then look
have
in the mirror while you pointing to make sure you point at the right place because you don't even know yourself. Like
I
this.
know, right? I have to identify it.
Okay, I gotta walk away right quick to go check on
Mhm.
Bridget. But while I'm doing that, can you talk about why you think you're going like why it's important that you look for gray hair? Like why is it fascinating and good that you look for gray hair? Because for some reason you seem to like it. So
Okay, sure.
tell me that story and I'll be right back.
Okay. So I really like looking for my gray hair because I figured, as old as I am, everyone else around me seemed to have gray. And I'm thinking, well, where's your gray? Where in the world? And I think gray is absolutely beautiful. It is very becoming. Um, my parents, they did not gray until they were much older. My grandmother didn't gray until she was much older. And I really never stopped to think about it. Like in my 40s, I wasn't really thinking about it too much then. But when I turned like 48, I was really obsessed with not having gray hair. I mean, I wanted to know when will it come? Will they actually come? Will they not come? Will it not grow? I'm looking at my temples because that's where it started on my dad. And I was like, why is it that I don't have any gray? So I look for it almost every day as I'm brushing my hair. I look for it. I think gray, a lot of people talk about how gray brings wisdom. I mean, that's wisdom, or sometimes it's like stress, just I guess being silly. But I also think that there's something about growing older and that being a sign of maturity, right? Um, and a sign of, I don't know, almost like even like a sign of respect, if you will, that people may have because they see that you're gray, you're older. Although I know you grayed earlier. I have another friend who was graying in her 20s. It's just the way that our DNA is made up. But I think there's also something about the beauty that it has, and I wanted that. I used to hope that I would gray right in the front, just
Come
the front.
on, playing words for me.
I was like, I was trying to will it to happen,
This right here, Lord. Just give me just this.
Right, just right here on the left hand side.
Why don't you dye it?
Diet gray.
Yeah, why don't you give it like a spot? Give yourself the look you want.
What a
because
great
because I
idea.
dye people like I know I do, and I know that in my family, like I've known it to always be that we're gonna dye this gray away. But
Mhm.
if people dye the gray away, why can't you dye it in?
That's a great idea. You know what? That I may just have to do that.
That might be nice.
Now I did go platinum for some time.
Okay.
I, I think the look that I'm looking for is exactly like what you indicated.
Yeah,
I may have to try that
you should go ahead on and you should go ahead on and dye that thing. You can get you that cute little patch right there. And
right there.
Everybody, she is pointing to the very front on your
Left, on my left.
on your left side.
On my left side.
You believe it was gonna grow in, like that one actor, it's a male actor, I don't know his name, but there's like a male actor, and he used to have just the little gray patch in the front of his head. Yeah. I can't remember his name though. But
you see how you remembered, right? That's something that stood out. That's somebody that actually stood out.
that white patch, yeah.
Yes, the white patch, and I mean, not to say that I'm looking to stand out, but I just think there's something so sexy, if you will, about about that gray. It's just, oh, it saddens me when I see people who dye it. I'm like, no, don't do
I'm gonna
that.
bleach this up. But I have learned though that there are shampoos that you're supposed to use specifically for gray.
Great, yes.
And that I may need to go down that avenue to see if I can, like, make it look less dull, because that's a big issue with it. When it come in, it don't come in silvery gray and like how we see people who are 85, 90 years old. It comes in like a storm that don't have no respect, and so when it comes in, it's not that look that
Mm-hmm.
that,
It's not the bright sprinkle.
and it's not everywhere, so it doesn't give you that same dignified look that people have. But my
I'll
family,
have to,
I mean, it may just be ingrained in my mind though, because I've grown up my whole entire life with everybody with the women in my family wanting to dye their hair because it was turning gray. Now, I've never, I know my grandma, to me, has always had white hair. I know that that's not the truth, but that's what my mind says.
okay. Okay.
My dad, because when I remember my grandma, the earliest I remember my grandma was in her late 40s, right? And
Okay.
so to me, she's always had the white hair. My dad went white early too. My dad is 60 now, but his hair has been gray since he was at least 40.
Oh, okay.
And it could have been earlier than that, but I don't really remember his head.
Well, when did you start turning gray?
I started turning gray in my 20s, before
Okay.
before I even had Cameron. I had Cameron, I was 24.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so I was about 22, and my little cousin kept being like, "What's that right there?" But oh, you got one right there. So Carlos was calling them out earlier. I was like, "Look, little dude, like we can't." They
So
were
it's definitely a family thing then. It's definitely.
so yeah, I remember, and my mom dyed her hair as well. I don't
Oh.
remember when my mom started dyeing her hair, but for me, she's always dyed her hair. So, and I don't know if it was because it was going gray or if she just was dyeing it because she liked dyeing her hair. But either way, I've always known the women in my family, other than my grandma, to dye their hair. So maybe it's just a thing in me that's just like, I gotta dye my hair.
Maybe.
But
But I mean, it may be the thing that's in you, and it's also tradition, maybe that unconscious thing that we do sometimes because of what other people have done or what we have seen done. I've never seen anybody, none of my aunts, my mom, my grandmother, never ever have dyed their hair. Ever. So
yeah.
I don't, I just went out on a limb one day because I said, oh, I wonder what this whole platinum thing would look like. And I thought it was so great. I wanted it to be wider and wider and wider.
Okay. So yeah,
But
maybe time to come back around, circle around, have them
I
salt
think
and pepper you up a little bit.
I think that's a
You
good
can get
thing. I
that thing.
think
They got all kind of stuff going now that they could, make it. I mean, because remember Lexi went gray. Remember she
yes,
got her hair gray out. I
yes.
thought it was really
But I
cute.
get haircuts often, so it doesn't always pay for me to have something permanent in because
Yeah,
I get my
but
haircut
yeah,
quite
I'm
often.
sure you can get a thing to have a look. You know, I think it would be good to explore at least, just to see. At this point, they probably got a spray. Because I know somebody who sprays their hair black when they go play.
Really?
Yes, they told it's a woman. She told me that when she goes out, she
Mhm.
just go ahead on and spray it so that it's
Oh,
black all over and you don't see the thing, and then go home and wash it out.
oh, wow.
Hmm.
Well, at this phase of my life, I am open. I am open to put that white spray on. I don't know what it will look like,
You
but
don't know about the dyes, but back in the day, they used to have one where you supposed to be able to do like your highlights. So then you would put this net thing over your head that had
oh,
the holes
with
in
the
it, and pull it out, and you had to, it never looked good. It never looked it never looked good, but we tried. We did a thing. We tried to do it. I don't know. Maybe we gotta find you like a small net that just hit you a couple of places, bam, 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 up in the front, and keep it pushing. It was
we
like
may have to do
bad
that.
streaks that the boy bands had. Like it came out like those bad streaks, like boy band.
Right, right.
But
I'm
I'm,
open. I'm open to
I'm
it.
sure the
This is the time
technology
for
is a lot better now.
this is the time to live and step out and try different things, and why not? Why not? But yes, I have two strands of gray. Um,
I don't know.
I have a feeling I may have one or two in the back though. I haven't been able to really explore that too much.
Maybe next time I see you, I'll just be like, turn it around. Let's get the count and pull out a
Yes,
magnifying glass or something, because
yes,
you do wear your hair low, but we'll see. We'll see if
yes.
maybe I can help you out with that.
Yeah.
I really appreciate this time. I think that this was a great conversation.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Thank you for the conversation and the reminiscing, really. So
That's what I'm
that
here
was
for. For me, it's just that I realize that I know lots of people in this age group, the middle ages. However, I don't remember having any conversations about the Middle Ages. So
mm,
I thought that this would be a great way to give women the opportunity to speak on some things that we don't get in big groups and have conversations about, or that I haven't heard people getting in big groups and having conversations about. So thank you for speaking to the masses and giving them a sample and a taste, and hopefully sparking some conversations with friends and family of their own about these situations. And hopefully we find that song so we can go ahead on and play it out.
and play it out. If I find it, I will definitely send it to you. But thanks again for having me. This
Thank you.
was great.
Appreciate it. All right, bye everybody.